make it there and can make it back.
Salutations.
Greetings.
And shit, folks. Oh, I'm over here. I never not have the mic like right in front of me. Welcome to a new episode of Travel and Shit, where I, your host, D. Carrie, have an experiential conversation about the nuanced ways that travel intersects with regular life. Welcome to another episode, guys. Happy Thanksgiving.
Welcome back. Happy Thanksgiving.
This is my co-host for the day.
Ooh,
This is going to be a very relaxed. If you're watching on YouTube, I love highlighting the YouTube channel when I have a guest because, first, go, look at us. We're beautiful, okay? But it's kind of like an extra, a little bonus. A little razzle dazzle. I'm one for a flair in my personal life, so like to transition it here to share with y'all. So for a little razzle dazzle, I actually put on a blouse, if you will.
Yes,
I've got
a
holiday appropriate
One,
top. Two. You know, the girls are sitting very nicely. I don't know where the angle is. Come on, boobs. And I even have some cute little earrings. Yes. Oh, my cousin is here with me. He's here for the holidays. He's here for Thanksgiving.
Yes, I am. It's good to be back in New York. I miss it. This is my second Thanksgiving with you and your family. I say your family as if it's not my family or our family. Right. But, you know, my New York family.
My immediate family.
Mm-hmm. You know, when I was actually living here last year, we met up, had a good time. And so, for those who don't know, I'm a teacher, I'm an educator. So I wanted to take this time this week to do something that I wanted to do for me. And so I have been missing New York. Right. Missing New York. Haven't been able to get back in a while. So being able to, do it, quick trip. This is all Friday. I told you when I was sitting in the hall, I was like, oh, I'm off next week. Oh, New York. Oh, it is Thanksgiving. Oh, Dana. It all just boom, 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 boom. So
makes sense.
It's good to be here. I'm excited to be your co-host. I'm more excited that we're able to do this on the day of thanks because we have so many things to be thankful for. And I hope it just ties in with our message. And yeah, hope the viewers, hope you are with your families. Hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful day. Hope this day is blessed. Good food, but it's not really about the food. It's about the memories. Make them while you can. They're very, very important. And so, yeah.
Yeah. I had mentioned initially and then got sidetracked the YouTube part because this is a champagne episode. We popped a bottle for this recording. So and we had just mentioned before we started recording, in the future champagne may not be a great idea because of the bubbles. The bubbles make you a little
so if you hear something, it's not us. We're not being rude. It's just the
libations, the celebrations for the holidays.
Let's get into it.
So what I wanted us to kind of focus on was the one thing that you have that I don't have is experience living in different places. I've only lived in New York for any of my life. And I think that this is a perfect opportunity, being that you just noted and highlighted you're traveling for the holidays. People travel for the holidays, right? Travel is more than vacation. People go places for more reasons than just, wanting to be on a beach.
Right.
A lot of the holidays can be very stressful for people.
Yes,
for a number of different reasons. This is also a really difficult time for a lot of people that have been experiencing loss.
And that's loss on multiple levels, financial,
I was
emotional. Just
getting there.
Yeah.
Right. This is that time where people who are struggling financially just feel that, and I can't speak for all, this is just it's not, I don't say a reach, but an assumption, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not stupid. So my assumptions don't be that far off. It's not
Educated guess, come on.
Thank you. It's not a stretch to see how someone that may be struggling financially will feel the sense of lack in the space of not being able to give the things to the people that they love. Because this is all that time of, all right, Black Friday starts yesterday. You do, what I was watching, Walker actually, this is a shoot the shit episode, if you will. We just talking shit, but the linchpin is traveling for the holidays. But so I am that cousin that likes to tell everybody what the fuck I'm watching. Oh, you watching this show? You watching this show? One of the shows that I'm watching that I was not expecting to be good at all. The only reason why I watched it was because the star of the show is Jared Padalecki, and he was the star, one of the stars of Supernatural, which happens to be one of my favorite shows. And so after Supernatural ended, 15 seasons, RIP, We had a good run.
A good run. Okay. A long run. That's what.
Right. A healthy run. I'll say a healthy one. A healthy run. And I still think of so many different storylines that they could have done. So I'm a little butthurt that they didn't go in a couple of directions, but it is what it is. I still have to say, I wasn't expecting Walker to be good at all. It's basically a reprise or a reimagining of Walker, Texas Ranger. Oh. And that is a very nostalgic show for me because I used to watch it with my grandparents.
Yes. There we all.
Hello.
When it was on USA.
Come on, Chuck Norris. Roundhouse that at. You going to Chuck Norris somebody.
You already knew what time it was.
Between that and you know what else was good? Because I feel like even during the holidays when you have time off or you just have time to just kind of...
shoot the shit.
Yeah. You just fall into things... let me check this out. I have the time or the wherewithal to think about it, doing it during the week. It was a little bit earlier this week or towards the end of last week. I ended up watching The Right Bid or something. Okay. There was, Price is Right, another nostalgic show. Yeah, that's the right way to say it. Yeah, another nostalgic show. There was a dude that memorized the prices for all the stuff. And that's not even frowned upon. Like, they are okay with you memorizing the prices because one of the producers was like, you watch the show, Theodore. You watch it enough that you realize, this couch has been on here for the last 7 of 13 episodes. And it has been $5.99 every episode. Okay. So he had a spreadsheet. He had friends and family in on it with them. They would go to tapings. It only taped on, like, the documentary was really cute. And it was about this man that memorized all the fucking prices for The Price is Right. And that just got me thinking about my grandpa. That got me thinking about my grandma. And I lost my grandpa on Halloween, actually. It was October 30th, 2018. So this is the, fourth Thanksgiving?
It'd be, Thanksgiving year's fourth.
Yeah, because that first one was without him, because it was 21. Just close
5.
To. Oh, damn, that long.
It'd be 5, yeah, because 18, because it'd be past October, that November, that 18, first one. 19, 20, 21, 22.
My God.
Yeah.
And so it's just holidays tend to remind me a little bit more.
And this is another place where we bond also. This is my first Thanksgiving without my grandma.
Yeah.
So I lost my grandmom in December of last year. And so it's coming up on a year. And then this is also, I think, like the first big holiday. I mean, her birthday was big, but this is the first holiday, especially I think of like family holiday.
Yeah.
That we don't have her. And even I shared earlier, like I was in New York last year, so I didn't do Thanksgiving with my immediate family as we tend to because of her health. But nonetheless, like even though that season or that feeling is upon us, I think like once again, talking about being thankful, I'm thankful that I have a place to go, and not only do I have a place to go, but we share similar things in that space. So
it makes it a place you want to go.
Correct. So if I had,
because a lot of people have a place to go
today
that they don't want to go.
Heard, okay, because I there was plenty of invites I got in DC, and I'm like, nah,
it's just not where my head is at right now. It's not where my spirit is at.
And like I said, like being able to be around that person that has that similarity, that if I fall like into a little slump today, or if I feel a certain kind of emotion, it's going to be differently received from you because
I get it.
You get it, right? And so it's different being around people like, oh, it'll be okay, or I get it.
I'm not going to let you sit in the wallow while also giving you grace to grieve.
Correct.
You know,
correct.
like, because and that's one of the things that I won't say always, but that's one thing that also, as you grow, you learn more through your life experiences, right? I didn't start losing people till I was, I'd say, relatively late in life. I was fortunate enough not to experience a lot of my childhood with loss.
Okay.
I didn't have anybody really, really close to me pass until my Aunt Debbie passed. And I think that was 2000. I know I was living here because I remember the last thing we did together was go get that refrigerator I have. So it's going to suck leaving that behind when I do leave. But that was, I moved in here maybe 2013. So maybe 2015. Between 2014, 2017, I think she passed. But
my first memory of loss is losing Aunt Louise.
Okay, and I wasn't close to her. So our grandfathers are brothers.
Yes.
That's how we're related.
Yeah, so that's the first time I can like remember like death or funeral or anything of that nature. And I'm pretty sure I was in high school.
Okay.
I'm 110% sure I was in high school.
Okay, so we were both a little bit later in life.
Yeah.
Now, my Uncle Anthony had died when I was, my mother's brother passed when I was like 13, I want to say.
Okay.
But I was still like a kid. I was not really that was my first experience with death. So it's like, you know what death is, but it's like you don't have an experience of death. And so I hadn't lost any, but he and I weren't that close.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it was just like.
Even with Aunt Louise, we weren't close.
Right.
I mean, proximity of family. Oh, no problem. Proximity of like the family, you know what I mean? We did stuff together and that kind of thing. And I knew she was my great aunt.
I was about to say, she's that great aunt. I feel like
aunt, so
unless y'all are close, you're not close. I think, if that makes sense.
Okay, so what I will say is I think losing my Aunt Edie, which is my grandmom's sister, was probably the first time I lost someone close.
Yeah, there's a difference. I don't want to say there's a hierarchy, but there's a difference. Like when you lose somebody close to you that you have like, you know, personal memories, fond memories versus just proximity memories. Because there are memories of proximity. But
Aunt Louise is like proximity, like we at like functions and things of that nature. But my Aunt Edie with my grandma, they were tag team. So like just how y'all do Sunday dinner and stuff, like we would always go over there. She would cook. Like that was more the meetup place than it was my grandma's. Then after she passed, it became my grandma's house.
Right.
So I think that's it. But yeah, loss is a thing, and I think that it's definitely heavy, like you said, around this season. And the fact that there's 2 holidays so close.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Back to back. Christmas.
Like back to back.
Well, New Year's, and then you got New Year's.
Yeah. It's like
nobody's really dealing with, unless of course Halloween is your bag. I know a lot of families do celebrate that together, really enjoy that. I know my mama loves Halloween, but she taught kindergarten for almost 30 years. So it's like I get how that's another conversation, which I have touched on. Special place of love and respect for y'all. But so I get how my mom loved Halloween, but you know the holidays also get compounded by people having to travel for the holidays. Like I was saying, you've had the experience of living in different places in different states where I haven't had that. I've never really had to travel for the holidays. The most traveling I do is go to the Bronx for my partner's family. But other than that, all my family is in New York for the most part. Like my immediate family, all of my grandparents are in New York. My parents are in New York. So any of the holidays that I have spent with my family, and I've spent all of them, thankfully, with my family, I've not had to travel anywhere. So I've gotten to avoid that basket, if you will, in the holiday, that box in the holiday bingo card. You know what I mean? Like I don't have to now complicate what can be difficult for me with the logistics of traveling. And I don't have to worry about a flight. My best friend lives in Kentucky and she has to but she chooses to spend Thanksgiving with her sister who lives in Texas. So it's like navigating, buying flights, your family or whomever that's picking you up, like, oh, it's now holiday traffic on top of just traffic to get to the airports. Because I live right by the fucking airport. So getting to the airport for me is like, I don't even really factor in a commute when it comes to to going someplace because I'm right here. The most time it's going to take me to get from my door to the airport is like 30 minutes. And that's something excessively out of the ordinary happens. But if you live 2 hours from the airport, now I got to spend 2 hours going to the airport to pick somebody up on top of being in traffic just for the holidays. I get how people get cranky during this time of year. I get how people are compounding, grieving friendships. You go away to college and you can't afford to come home for the holidays. Yep. Or you go away to college and you all of a sudden, I don't want to say like become a different person, but you get exposed to new things. You have, a bag of your own personal life, young adult experiences, and then to go back home.
I think that is so crazy you said that because it just made me have flashbacks of like being in school, like going home for the holidays. It was like, fuck.
You realize how unprogressed where you're from made
Yo, it's like,
you realize how progressive your family. Like I realized how progressive my family was.
I used to cap that shit. Like okay, they say we gotta be out by like Friday. I'll just go stay with somebody in DC for 3 days. I'll go home Wednesday night. All right, I'll stay to Black Friday, and I'll leave like Friday night. And so I've experienced both ways because, before I gave up my car, I was driving, right? So when I was so navigating through college, me and my best friend from home, went to school together. We both went to Howard together. And so she had a car. She's
Okay.
always had a car from high school on. So because we lived together, not lived together, but went to like middle school together, high school and college. When we got in college, it's like second nature. She's also my best friend, but neither
Is
here
that
nor
one
there.
that you came up with?
It's here. And we stay here.
Hey, boo.
Like we used to, we call it the hatchback, and it used to be like our safe word. Like, say for example, we like leaving right to go home. If it's like Thursday, like it would probably be like Tuesday, and we still got class, I'll text her at like 12 and like hatchback at 3. She'd be like, yeah.
Okay.
So that was like our code word. But we would ride the hatchback back and forth. Like she would drive because at that time I had license, but I got my license like the day I left to go to Howard, so I wasn't like driving that much or whatever. So she would drive the hatchback, and we would just go back and forth like snowstorms and shit. And it's easier because it's not like I'm catching a ride with somebody else. Like, it's, you know what I mean?
It's family.
Yeah. So that used to be cool. Then after that, my experience was, I bought a car when I graduated college, and when I had Ashton, that was his name. Shout out to my Honda.
Mm-hmm.
It was
my Honda named Grace.
Hey, Honda's in the family. It didn't bother me because I think that I was at a liberated place of I just bought my car. Like now I feel like an adult because I'm driving or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I was actually back and forth between Jersey. For those who don't know, because they need to bring this up, I'm born and raised in New Jersey. I went to school in DC. I went to Howard University, and I ended up staying in that Howard University. A little bit after that, I moved to New York, and now I'm back in DC. So that's like my little backstory about traveling. That's why she's asking me. But when I was driving, like when I had Ashton, like
it was nothing.
It was what?
And all of those states, if you're not very familiar with like
the
northeastern geography, we're basically touching, except for DC. DC is a little bit further. What we got, like Delaware between Delaware, Virginia.
You got Delaware and Maryland.
Delaware and Maryland. Diet Coke. My brother texting about a Diet Coke. What are we doing? Who does Diet Coke? I'm sorry, y'all, but
I mean,
gag.
I mean, he might be.
New England has him in a chokehold.
He might be trying to stay slim.
I don't do that on his time. Don't bring me no Diet Coke. Fruit punch and chip. God, New England, what are you doing to the kids?
Ask him, did he bring a lobster roll?
But to the topic.
So
all those states are in a very relatively close proximity. 4-hour drive. Like there are all places that you can go on a road trip from. I did a road trip to DC. I did a road trip to where you were in Virginia. Howard is in DC.
Howard's in DC.
Howard's DC, Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
Did I do? No, we didn't. So we didn't do the Maryland part. That is an upcoming addition to the road trip itinerary options, but which is available for download, travelandshippodcast.com, travel resources. However, they are very different. They're close, but all of those areas are very different. Like there are similarities in blackness. Mm-hmm. Like the diaspora has absolutely connective tissue across the East Coast, but
even speaking to that, like even traveling, sometimes I remember in my younger years, I used to go to my Aunt Paulette's a lot too, who lives in North Carolina. Right. So even with driving, like it was nothing. Like
they're in Charlotte.
They were in Raleigh.
Okay.
Like get in, whatever. And so because I'm in the DMV, like DMV traffic. I know that from DC going through Virginia until I hit that Richmond mark, I should be prepared to do this start and stop. Like that's already in my mental head. You know what I mean? And then from Richmond on, I'm Gucci. Like, and so I think that's how I felt about it too. Like even driving home, like to Jersey, like when I hit DC, after I hit Baltimore, once I see those Delaware signs or I get on a certain bridge, like I'm good.
Yeah.
You know
it's like when I hit the Delaware Memorial Bridge.
Yeah, you good.
When like coming from down south, like if I'm coming from you or shout out to my cousin Joy, she actually lives over there.
What up, Joy?
But like coming from like when you making certain drives, like you get that landmark that it's like, all right, we only got an hour left. Or all right, we almost there.
So my earlier days in traveling around the holidays were like Gucci. I say now that I'm not driving and I don't have a car, depending on where I'm traveling for the holidays, determines like the stress or like the anxiety. Because like coming here, I'm Gucci, right? I took the bus, got off the bus, get on the train, got off the train, like I can't maneuver.
I was supposed to come pick him up from the train station, and I was just like,
"Show me she was gonna put me in an Uber."
Girl, I'm gonna get you an Uber. I had started eating. I had already started eating because. So in my defense,
I got here.
I text you at like 2:00, bitch. Was like, we so good to meet you at,
And
to
bitch,
meet
I'm
at
on
my
vacation.
job.
I was
Right. And I'm not. So when I didn't get that text back, I was making the assumption
it was my
at
fault.
like 5:00 that
I woke up
all
and was
right,
like, I'm
I
headed
won't
to the
see
train.
him, but if I do, it'll probably be like 9, 11 o'clock. And sure enough, this whole rolled on my door like 9:30. But it's like we understand that about each other.
So
we understand that.
That part is
No
okay,
love
right?
lost,
Because it's different. Like, but when I travel home to Jersey, where I'm from in Jersey, I'm from cow tipping Bridgeton, New Jersey. If anybody knows where that where that is, and you can type it underneath this video, I will send you something special because that's how nook of the cranny it is. Okay, there's nothing no public transportation like near me. So when I take a bus, I have to take a bus either into Delaware or into Philadelphia, and somebody from my family or a friend has to come pick me up. And you know, my mom's well in her 70s. Like my immediate family is not
able
as
to
not able to like get around. Like my mom barely drives to like Vineland where my sister, or Millville where my sister lives, or whatever. Which is like a 15-20 minute ride. Not because she can't. She just don't do it. Like they older or whatever.
Exactly.
So
I don't want to fucking drive nowhere.
Getting home.
How long is that drive from say like Philly to where you at? 30 minutes?
Oh, like 30, 40. It depends.
Okay, that's not bad, but it's also
it's the same.
I don't want to drive that. I didn't want to drive 10, 15 minutes to come get you. I was sending him an Uber because I didn't want to go 15. We would have been back to the house 25, 30 minutes.
That's what I'm saying. So even going to Philly, right, and getting an Uber, I'm probably paying the same amount. $40,
$50, $40, $60.
And that's how much my ticket was to come
there.
from DC. So the anxiety of getting home now without having a car is very different because I feel like sometimes it's not a liability, but it's like putting work on somebody else. You know what I mean? Like, I have to ask one of my best friends that are home, they have kids and stuff and got their own families, like, hey, can you pick me up? Or like, I gotta ask a friend that doesn't live in my hometown, but is from my hometown. Like, when I leave here, I'm going to see my best friends on Saturday because we're having Friendsgiving. Mm-hmm. Like, they don't live where I live in New Jersey, but they're in Jersey. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like sometimes having to ask them, they got kids. Like, hey, can you scoop me?
You just don't want to feel like a burden, especially if it's during the holidays. You already know your people got to get to their house, their partner's family's house.
So I think answering the question is more so depending on where I'm going and what time. Like if I'm just going to Jersey on like a weekend, then I'm good. Like when I went to see my best friends last month.
People out moving and shaking as it is.
We went to a winery together or whatever. So somebody picked me up from Philly. One other person that was going to the winery. It was all smooth, right? Yeah. But I was going to a place where I knew I already had a plan. It was a regular Saturday. It's not like, you know what I mean? I remember one time even, I hate to go back to Lost, when I got the call from my mom about my grandma declining and like, you need to get here this week. Like that was like anxiety, right? Like I don't have a car. I got to buy a ticket now. I don't
Last
live.
Minute tickets cost more.
I don't live near anywhere. So I'm like texting people like, hey, I hate to do this to you, but can you da-da-da-da-da. But shout out to Marquita, my one of my good childhood friends. Like she picked me up from Philadelphia, drove me all the way to Bridgeton, and then had to drive back to Camden for anybody who knows, because that's where she worked. Damn. And like that is not something I wanted to put on her, but that's our relationship. We, you know, I mean, we've been shooting the shit since before her son is born. Her son is like 21, 22 now.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, we've been
shooting
she a real
shit.
One. Like, yeah, for
she
years.
Been around.
Yeah. So, like, I get it and we're there for each other, but that kind of anxiety to, like, have to, like, ask somebody to rearrange or duck and dodge or, like you're saying, throwing more money to the problem.
Yeah.
It's expensive. So, depending on where I'm going and depending on who's involved, it all goes into the equation, right? Because a lot of times when I come home, or when I go home, I should say, to Jersey, I usually always go to my best friends first. Because it's easier.
Especially if they're the ones picking you up.
It's easier to get them out the way, do whatever we're going to do, and I'll get either like Ashley or Tia or somebody to meet me halfway. Or sometimes I'll just pay them to take me or whatever. Like, they'll be like, no, you don't have to. But I'm like, nah.
I'm going to at least put 25 in your gas.
Yeah, like whatever. So sometimes it's like real easy, but then other times, like, I was just thinking, like, now, you asked me, like, my original plan was to do like fake soul food. Like I wanted to do Thanksgiving at grandma's house. Like, not last time, but like do it in the house. Like we all have this emotion or whatever the case may be. Why not? So
especially before you sell it or before any decisions are made. Yeah.
What we doing? What's good? Like I know I'm early, but it's coming. And for people like me who don't have a car, like, I have to buy tickets. Like, that's a thought for me. Like, am I going to get a train ticket? Am I going to get a bus ticket? What, like, whatever. So she's like, oh, nah, we're going to talk about it. Like, I'm going to call everybody. And that never happened. So that mixed with my teacher schedule, I was like, fuck it. I'm going to do what I want for the holiday. You know what I mean? It's my vacation. And the fact that usually teachers don't get off until like Tuesday or Wednesday. They still have to work those first couple of days.
Yeah.
And we had off the whole week. I'm not sitting here.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not staying in DC. Like,
I think another thing, people that don't have to travel, that's something that people that don't have to travel don't often necessarily consider.
Right.
Is that my family is all here. I can walk to my grandmother's house. I can walk to my parents' house. That being the case, there is no planning that has to go into it. It's a matter of, are we doing dinner or not? The most planning in advance that needs to be done on my end is, let me highlight this Amazon Fresh so that this ham gets here before they sold out, before the delivery windows are expired.
Everybody's
or that's it. That is the most thought that I have to put into it. So I can understand how if Ashley don't have to fucking travel for the holidays and never has had to travel for the holidays because she hasn't, to my understanding. Mm-hmm. What's up, cuz? Love you, baby. Then it's just not something that is as naturally going to come to her to account for. So you asking about the holidays in September makes perfect sense for you because you've always had to move in a fashion that kind of accommodates for schedules from work. Also, cost. Buying a ticket for anywhere a day before or like a week before, crazy. Could be, especially during the holidays, just like, if I don't do it now, I won't feasibly able to make this happen. Like, I can't do it. There's so many things that go into that, right? Like, so in DC, there's so many places you can leave from. You know what I'm saying? Like Rockville, which is technically Maryland, but you got like Rockville stations. You got downtown. You got New York in 7th Street. That's where the Flex bus drop you off. Then you got actual Union Station. That's where Megabus is. So like, then I have to factor in. Remember, I don't drive. Yeah. How I'm getting from my house to wherever I'm getting the bus. Am I getting a train? Am I getting an Uber? What time is it? So that's why I say coming here, it's like really second nature because I know Subway will always be open. Yep. I know how to get around. And then I know once you to get to me.
But I always know that you're here. Yeah. Or some family member is here. Like, so at worst, if it goes down.
You can call my parents.
Correct. Like, I can.
You ain't never going to be stranded. And you know what? That's another thing. I also don't think often about it. But every once in a while, I would think back to an older, not an older in terms of like age, but just like this was somebody I was like cool with years ago. I remember one time we was hanging out and he was just like, well, I kind of have to figure everything out because I don't have anybody here. I don't have a safety net. Correct. And I realized that I had the luxury of failure. Like if God forbid I were to lose everything, I would never go without a place to stay. Well, I won't say never. I don't know what my life 20, 30 years from now is going to look like. But if I were to lose everything right now, ain't no way I would have no place to stay.
Yeah, you got way too
I can always go home. I could always go to my grandmother's house. I can go to either of my grandmother's houses.
That's what I'm saying.
I got uncles and aunts that I could call up and be like, yo. And they know I'm not a fucking asshole. Like, if I end up in a situation, God willing, that I cannot provide, it is understood because of who I am that something had to happen.
Correct.
You know what I mean? And not to say that everyone isn't deserving of grace, but we all know
you on that bullshit.
We all know that we have a certain we got different boundaries for different people. That
cousin that always need to stay with grandma.
Because we also realize that what part of personal accountability, like people's different levels. Yeah. For personal accountability, right? Whether you're able to be personally accountable, because again, nobody becomes who they are on their own. But that's not necessarily the point we're getting to highlight right now. The point is that I have that luxury of failure. Yeah. I have family here that I can choose to celebrate with. Whereas this friend, it was just like, my family's not just not in this city, not in this state. They're not in this country. I'm the only one here. My country is back in, I don't remember if he was from Senegal or like Sierra Leone or something like that. But he was like, my mom and my sisters, they're not even here. So the people that I would spend my holiday with don't live in this country. God forbid something, like I can't afford to not show up to work. I can't afford to lose my job because if I lose my job, I lose my housing. And then it's just a consistent spiral downhill from there. And it's just like people deal with jobs they hate. They deal with less than safe or comfortable situations just for fucking
harsh work environment
paychecks, just so that they don't end up losing everything they have. And I know that I have the luxury of failure. The same way, like, I get to say I can go see my grandmas or I can go see my parents for the holidays. I can walk everywhere. I also know that translates to when it's not the holidays and all this extra hoopla is happening. I still have them here.
You do.
But not everybody has that.
And
some people have to really go out of their way to get to their family.
I would say, even though your uncle is in DC, like, I've experienced that a lot during my time in DC. I've been in DC for over 10 years. And so, like, sometimes, like, you just want to, like, go shoot the shit with
people
like,
that
a
know
nigga.
you.
Like, yeah, like, I don't want to have to tell you, like, why I feel this way and whatever. Like, a lot of times, like, even when we text or whatever, like, I don't have to explain what's going on, right? Like, I just be like, these niggas at work, or this is what happened with my roommate. And it's an instant understanding because you have that, right? And so
we have that background.
In a place where
you don't have to start from scratch.
Like, you gotta, like, kind of, like, not even step on eggshells, because sometimes even when you're in those kind of predicaments too, you don't want to give everybody, like, what's really going on the inside.
Not everybody's there for that.
Correct.
Not everybody's there for that.
And I personally believe that everybody shouldn't have that kind of access to you, because I've dealt with that in some of my relationships or whatever. So, like, even the fact that his family is, like, overseas or whatever, like, it's real out here for people who got people in the States. Like, you know, like, once again, outside of your uncle, like, my immediate family or closest person to me would probably be where? In Jersey, which is a two and a half hour.
Not easily accessible to you as it is. They could be an hour from you, but if you have difficulty getting there because you don't fucking drive and they don't have accommodations baked into their social planning, into their, city planning, they don't have those services, then
and then I think I got accustomed to, like, kind of like codependent on Tierra, because we've been together for so long. So even after we graduated, like, she got an apartment, I got an apartment. Like, then she packed up and went to grad school, but the whole time she was in grad school, like, I was driving in, so we would do every other month date. So I would go to Baltimore to see her. She would come. We would always meet in Baltimore, but, like, we would do something different or whatever. Then after she finished grad school, she moved back. And when she moved back, that's when I became, like, a real uncle. Like, I traded in my car because I had to start picking up her daughter. So, like, I didn't want to be putting, like, the
mileage?
The car seat. The car seat in Honda, because the Honda was 2-door. So I went. That was the whole reason why I got a 4-door car.
A coupe. That was one thing that I never wanted, because I thought I was going to have babies and kids, but I thought I was going to be married and start having kids at, like, 25. Like, I thought by the time I hit 30, I'd have a career. I'd have, like, the husband, 5 kids. But at that time, I said, I don't want to get a coupe, because who knows when my husband will find me, and if this is my car, then I don't want to have to go through all of these hoops for a car seat. And baby, that was not my life. I could have had the coupe.
It happened to me. So yeah, like, I was like, and this is how you can tell, like, our relationship is real. I was like, oh no, I can't do this. And ironically, she had went to Enterprise in, like, Delaware or somewhere randomly, and she walked off with a car. I was like, tell them niggas, like, I need a 4-door car. So I was talking to them that whole week. That Saturday, he was like, when you drive up, you're going to leave with a 4-door car.
Okay. You just exchange cars, basically?
I literally walked to that bitch. They had that Nissan at the front. He got me, dropped them keys. And he was like, go take it for a test ride. I took that thing on a test ride, and it was push to start. 4 doors.
Let me tell you something. My push to start.
Little push. I said, I ain't got no key.
When I had to buy my new car after my engine died in Cincinnati, check out that episode. It was a good time after the fact. I had to have a push to start.
Yeah, so
had to have push to start. Had to have a sunroof, moonroof, whatever you want to classify it as, categorize it as. And I what was the other thing? I can't remember, but definitely push to start. And I had to have a roof. Like, once you have a roof and, like, you just enjoy, like, that sun, not even just the sun. I love every once in a while where
that
you look up
too, kinda,
and I can see the moon. And I'm a very celestial bitch. Like, I love the moon on some hippie shit. It's like, it's what I like. It's my jam.
Well, yeah.
I love the moon. I love the stars. So I love to be able to. That is what does it for me.
So I got Pearl became my uncle. I was picking her up 2 times a week because Tier was working late. And so I say about the codependent or like having that person, like even like just picking up Denver and dropping her off and being able to talk to my actual best friend for like 5-10 minutes and knowing she was around the corner was a different comfort than like now, like literally I'm in the city. I want to say by myself because I have friends that I've had for years, coworkers. Yeah. Like there's people there that if I did have like a real emergency, I could run to.
Absolutely.
But
it's just a different level of
safety. It's a different kind of safety net.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't want to put that burden on people that you kind of tertiary fuck with.
Yeah, because
like I talk about that tertiary circle.
And I think in my head, like when you were talking about it, like I never thought I was alone because I knew in the back of my head she's 15-20 minutes away, right? That kind of thing, right?
Well, that now, security blanket and decision making.
Like, going. Like, you know what I mean? She's back in Jersey, and I'm like, when she packed up that last time, I'm like, she'll be back. Like, this bitch, like, whatever. But she had to do it for herself. Like, she had some things going on with her social work business that she now has off the ground. So she's a social worker in an all-boys school as well. And she has her own business. So, like, I couldn't fault her for that. Like, and she has a child. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she wanted to be around.
Entrepreneurs.
You know, she wanted to be around.
Black women entrepreneurs.
She wanted to be around her mom. Like, help her, like, you know what I mean? Or her
that's another thing that I wanted to touch on. That's another thing that comes into play for, in terms of just future travel needs, right? So, my partner and I thinking about where do we want to put roots? You know what I mean? Because at one point I thought I'm absolutely going to be fuck this. But let me rewind it back. I never thought that I would be over New York. I'm over New York. I'm done. For me, it's really the traffic.
Oh yeah.
I am a very laid back, no stress, I am a woman of ease.
So you want to go to a different city?
I want to go to a different anything. I don't care if it's a different city, a different state. I used to think a different country. I always considered like what my life would be like if I decided to raise children outside of the country, right? I'm not averse to it. I'm not against to it. It's an option. I consider that also. But family, right? I know that my time with my grandmothers is limited. I've lost my grandfathers now. So I know my time with my grandmothers is limited. My parents are getting older. And I don't...
Shout out to my sister for giving my mom 2 kids. Thank you, Jesus. I mean, 2 grandkids. Thank you. Thank you, Tia. Thanks. Wow. Baby. I knew that conversation was going to come. And I don't know how you think I was supposed to do it, but she did. She gave her a grandson and a granddaughter. And
she good. She got a book in.
And they close. Like that. And for me, I think that...
She's able to see them? Like they live like, proximity-wise?
My nephew's grown. Like, my nephew's 20.
No, but I mean in terms of like logistics.
Yeah, like
because that's what I was getting
like
at.
20, 30 minutes.
When
like
we think about those things, I'm thinking about, for one, I don't want to be a new mother with like no family nearby.
Right.
I don't want to be in the thick of that alone, or even give myself the opportunity to feel alone or ostracized or whatever.
New York, no time soon.
So there's that, right? But also, there's the idea of, well, what about holidays, right? It would be, I know that at least in my family, we are very like child-centric. Wherever the kids are is where everybody else follows.
And we were like holidays, that in our younger years. So
because the holidays about the kids, especially Christmas.
So Thanksgiving,
Christmas is absolutely for the babies.
Was always at grandma's and it always Trey came up. And,
okay, but y'all had the luxury of that, having a bunch of kids.
Okay.
Excuse me. Well, you realize that in my corner, it's just me and my brother.
Right.
So I've had the luxury my entire life of my entire family coming to me.
That makes sense.
My family has always come, especially for Christmas. It is always a big deal for me to have Christmas at my parents' house or at my house because it is my normal. That is my comfort zone. And Christmas is also my dad's birthday. So I never not want to spend a Christmas with my dad. You know what I mean? While he's here.
Yeah.
It's going to come a time when he's not.
Right.
And that's why I honor the ones that I do have with him, especially it being his birthday. But all of that being said, it's like I think about that, how important that is to me, and that kind of like colors my decisions in terms of where would I want to have my family. Not only do I not want to be alone, I want to still be able to have my family pull up. And now that my family is aging, now that my parents are knocking on 70, you know, they're not there yet.
You know,
but as close as I am to 40, they are to 70.
I'm a firm believer that Where there's a will, there's a way.
Absolutely, but I don't want 75-year-olds driving too far to come see me, or I don't necessarily know what their health is going to look like. So what if they can't get on a plane by themselves?
And I say it to you this way, as a person who has an elderly parent.
Yeah.
My mom is in her 70s, right? So we had two different views, because you're talking about birth and kids and new beginnings, so that's kind of a different experience, right?
Yeah, I'm not traveling with children. Right. You know what I mean?
So for me, mine is a little bit different, right? Because I don't have that expectation from my mom.
So it's always you that has to get to your mom.
Right.
Whereas I am planning for a life where I'm expecting that my family is going to come to me, because that is my normal.
My caveat to that is that, but your family does that regardless.
My immediate
your immediate family, that's y'all regardless. Y'all take the trip to see your brother. You'll take the trip.
Well, my parents and I.
Yeah, you know, y'all, I think, in not your defense, but in the rationale of things too, right? Y'all are New Yorkers. So traveling and busyness and all that is kind of in your blood.
Okay.
Right?
I see where you're going.
Where I'm coming from the country. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's a different kind of experience. I think that plays into the larger piece. And so I hear you about being close and wanting to have those things. And I'm a firm believer of having your cake and eating it too.
And in terms of close, I mean 2-3 hours.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. I was like,
I can see moving upstate. I have my real life, unfortunately, I have a state job.
Listen, so you can go there. You can go to Philly. That's why I said, is it another city? Because that's not that much traffic. That's not that far away. You know what I mean?
My dad will make that drive. As long as he is able to. I know that I've got a 3-4 max in terms of just and then God willing, if we get our way, we will be buying land and just building. And we would have space for our parents to be accommodated. So you can stay here for the weekend and not be right under us. You can stay here for a month or so and not really feel like
y'all can work that
you
out.
have to
y'all can work that
step
out.
On eggshells and, this is your home. I don't want to be in the way. Nah, y'all got your own space. Do the fuck you want to do. We got our own space. We gonna do what the fuck we want to do. Pull up for meals or watch these kids.
My
they
Aunt
go to
Paulette
you.
used to always be like that for my grandma. I
Beautiful.
remember when we used to go down to North Carolina or whatever to my Aunt Paulette's house, who has the same house now. Granny had her own space. And it never was
that's your room. That's your little space. That's your corner.
It never was
do whatever you want.
Whatever. Nor was it it's not enough room here. I remember times where, every black family got that living room that you don't sit in.
Oh, we don't have that.
That living room you don't sit in?
We live in New York.
I live in New York. So yeah.
We don't got that space.
Okay.
Every space. Every corner is optimized.
So it's a living room, you don't get touched, you got all the fancy stuff in there or whatever. I remember one time it was so many of us, we turned that into a sleepover room. We were on the couch, on the living room. It was a Christmas we had down there, or whatever. And so I hear what you're saying. I think that one, you should just wait and see what the next couple of years do, because I feel in the next couple of years, just knowing where you are in life, I see some beautiful things happening. And I think that also in this conversation, right? You're partnered, right?
Yeah.
At this point. So that conversation is kind of a little difficult sometimes too, because you have to now factor in someone else's.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well-being and thought and their family traditions.
Where his parents end up, what's comfortable for him.
Because now it's not just you. So that conversation
it's not just going to be my babies.
Right. And so that conversation for me is very different, right? I can say.
These are also his parents' grandkids.
In 5 years, I can move to Texas and then move to LA for 2 years and then whatever. So even if I get partnered, that partner conversation is going to be very different than having children.
You never know.
Who?
You gotta have kids.
Girl, I do. And they're at Statesman Preparatory Academy for boys. My kids are my kids. And they're the only kids I'm going to have. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And my little college mentee babies from my college days. That's
you
it.
say that now.
No, I'm
you never know.
It's not for me. And you know what? And I had a conversation with my mentor about this. I said one time, and this is probably one of my most fucked up ways of thinking. And I was way younger too, and whatever. I was like, I'll compromise. I'll give him, or we can have a child as long as I get this kind of car, this kind of closet, and this vacation every year.
Okay.
That's fucked up for a child, especially as an educator. You cannot negotiate a child. A child is something that it's a commitment, especially if you want a healthy. Like,
if you want to do it right, if you don't want to add to the problems that we are actively trying to work out
the trauma that kids are going to now.
Hello. Oh my God, that was another conversation that we won't get into now.
But yeah, I just think that you should know yourself. And so I know that that's not a thing for me.
It's very important.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And so that's why when I get, not serious, but if I'm talking to somebody and they bring up kids, they be like, well, you want to have kids? I like have it in that first conversation. Yeah. Because time is something that shouldn't be wasted. And if that's something that's really a goal for you, or something you really want, I don't want to hold you back because I'm not negotiating on that. Like, we're not doing it. I know that I don't want to.
You're grown enough to know. It's not like you're not 23. Still trying to figure yourself out.
I'm not like, oh yeah, you got money and you got good sex, so yeah, let's get a baby. No, like, I'm good. I'm Gucci. It's not
at this point what
I got. My nephew is all grown. I got a niece that I'm raising. All my best friends got kids. Like, I'm good. You gonna have kids? Like, I'm good. I was just about to say, I took godparent dads. Dibs. Yeah. It's the Prosecco.
Yeah. So, I think we could kind of wrap it up there that as a reminder, travel is so much more than vacation.
It is.
And I think that as you're moving through even something as simple as being in traffic, right? Consider that when you're feeling gracious, sometimes it doesn't matter. And you're in the space of, I don't have the space to be as compassionate to people as I would want to right now. I just need to get where I need to go and understand.
That's a New Yorker mentality, though, y'all.
But I like to remind myself, and it's so cute and heartwarming. One of my favorite people to follow on Twitter is Ariel Simone. And one of the things that she was saying is like when people cut her off in traffic or something, she now looks at it as oh wow, you must really be in a rush. That anxiety doesn't feel good, and I understand that. You really need this, go on with yourself. And I try. And it was cute to me because I'm like, oh, girl, I do the same thing. Like, I always would, when I was like in my 20s, I used to always be in a rush. My dad used to always tell me, yo, you got to slow down. You rather get there. If you have an accident, you really going to be late. Like, get there when you get there. That was his thing. Just get there when you get there. Just take your fucking time. Because I used to always be racing to get everywhere. And there's a whole package to be unpacked around that. But as I've gotten older, I've slowed down. And I realized that in a lot of spaces, I understand what that stress behind the wheel is. And I understand that your life doesn't stop just because you're now engaging with other people. And not everybody handles that burden or that weight or that gift or that joy the same way, whatever it may be.
And
or
you're
that middle space.
And you're sitting with your thoughts now.
Yeah.
Like, right? So
or you've got screaming kids in the back, or you've got deadlines to meet, or you've got like, I gotta be at this place at a different time.
Yeah.
And so I really like, and even like something as stupid as people driving slow, right? They could have a cake in the back seat. They could be a struggling entrepreneur that is like, I just need to get this cake 2 hours away and get this check so that I can actually eat and feed my kids. But if I fuck up this cake, that check ain't coming through.
I used to say in DC, that could be my grandma.
Thank you.
I had to think differently about certain things.
Yes.
And the other thing my grandma used to always say is that you'll be where you need to be when you need to be there. And I never really understood it, right? And so, for those who don't know, I grew up very, very, churchy, spiritual, whatever. And until I got, I'll say about, 21, 22, and started having my, real own relationship with God, I, never understood these things that my grandma and my mom were saying, right? But my thing was, going back to what you were saying, Dana, that extra red light could be that 5 minutes that you need to woosah. That 5 minutes that if you would have
kept you out of a really bad accident, or kept you out of running into somebody that you did not need to come into your life.
And so I did not understand that until I became an adult and was like, that's
a shift.
What that meant.
That's it.
That's what that meant. Okay, I'm a chill. Yes. And I'm with you, especially when I was in DC, I'm back in DC, but when I first was in DC with my car, I was the same way because I'm new. I got a car now, I can get around, whoop. And my mom used to always tell me, you said, you need to slow down. And I'm like, nah, I'm in my 20s.
And then we were just young.
What?
We were talking about that age thing
like,
and the way it plays out
I'm
in different
like,
environments.
Like, I got a car on my own. You ain't give me no money for this. Like, no, I'm running these streets. You know how they saying we outside? We didn't even know that was back then.
Right, hold on. 2007, baby, I was outside. 2003 to 2000 and a good 12.
You couldn't
honey.
tell me nothing. From 2011 to like 2000.
I did not sit still.
2011 is when I graduated Howard. So
2003
2011
through 2000 and...
I'll say 2011 to like a good 2016. It was a good run with
I graduated high school 2003. As soon as I got to college, 2003. Like, and you know what? A little before that, because shout out to my cousin Brandy. I'm going to text you back soon. Happy Thanksgiving. I used to love going to CB. I used to love going to go see my cousin, and then she ended up going to the Navy. And it was right around the time I got a car, because we're 2 years apart. Okay. So the same way I'm 2 years older. She's 2 years older than me. So she was my you here. And so I got a car at 16. So it was like, we out. Like, I can go see my cousin. I could go see my little shorty. Like, I could go to the mall. I could do woo.
That was it.
And then she went to the Navy. And it was just like, all right. But then, like, shortly after that, I ended up going to college. So it's just like, now I have that luxury of coming and going and coming and going. So that ripping and running, man, it's just like, now that I'm older, like your grandma said, like, you'll get where you need to be when you need to be there. And
I'm with you in the chilling part. Like,
yeah.
I looked at my life in the past 2 weeks. I looked at how much, like, alcohol I had consumed, how many places I had been, like, in the city, how many times I was actually out of the house, like, how much water I consumed, how much sleep I was getting.
Yeah.
And I was like, nigga, you're 35.
You're pushing, yeah.
Like, you can do it, like, homecoming weekend. Okay, like, that's a good time to do it. But it's 2 weeks after homecoming and you partying Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday? That was Veterans Day, y'all. I'm a teacher. I went to work on Tuesday. But, like, all 4 days, like, you gotta know, y'all. We gotta know when to tap out. So I told myself, like, last week, after this week, when I get back, like, I'm gonna tap myself. Like, I gotta sit down. Like, I gotta chill. I ain't no spring chicken. And yeah, I got freedom. And yeah, I work hard. But there's other ways to reward yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that having that check-in and that self-awareness, like, glad I had that check-in with myself. Because I'm like, yeah, it's okay because it's the weekend. But, bruh, like, you get out work at 5. You at a happy hour till 8. You go home, change your clothes. Now you in the streets till 3. You wake up. It's 12. You and your friends going out to eat. It's brunch on Saturday. Then you go home, take a nap. Now you at the club Saturday night. Sunday, of course, is Sunday fun day. So you go to brunch, leave brunch, go to the bar, leave the bar, go to the hookah spot, leave the hookah spot, go to the day party. Like, it's too much.
I aged out of that a long time ago.
Well, I'm also single. I mean, if I wasn't single, I probably would have aged out of it a long time ago.
And fine.
And available.
Hello. Come on. The hair. Just so y'all see.
It's real. It's real.
You know what I'm saying?
In January, be 13 years in the game.
I was just saying, it's been like, I feel like your hair grew like an extra foot since the last time I seen you.
Listen, I need to get it done.
But we were saying all that to wrap up to say that travel is so much. We having a good time. The what is this? The prosecco. The bubbly's done, so the episode is done.
Yes.
But travel is so much more than vacation. Give every other person around you grace. Mm-hmm. And I think in fairness,
grace.
Yes. And I think in fairness, we have gotten to that age in life where we kind of get it a little bit better now. And I'm looking forward to my 40s where I get it even better than I get it now.
Okay.
Hello.
All right.
Ask somebody. I don't expect that my enlightenment should end here. I don't think this is the end of it. And I'm seeing now in my late 30s how different my mid and early 30s were. And then in comparison to my 20s, and I'm seeing how my life experiences have allowed me to view the world so much differently. Mm-hmm. And I also accredit a lot of my travel experiences to that because it has showed me things outside of my regular life. I realized how liberal I've grown up, how very welcoming and open I have grown up by seeing
outside
other places by going outside. Like we was talking about, unfortunately, some children that you have interactions with, like, don't act like you ain't been nowhere, but I haven't.
Yeah.
It's like outside for everybody is different.
Yes.
Not everybody has had the opportunities to experience the same things. And not everybody is viewing things from the same point of reference. Our lenses are all different. And for me, I know that, certain things made more sense when I was able to see that outside of the lens of home. So travel has definitely impacted my life in that way. And I would imagine that, living in different environments and having the difficulty getting back home that you have experienced has also shifted, if you will, the way you view and experience your family, because you get to value them in a way that is like, damn, I know that getting here is a little bit more difficult. So when I am available, I value this time.
And I want to say the thing for me that stuck out that you said that just like really dropped in me that I'm going to take out of this episode is giving yourself grace.
Yeah.
I felt like, being very, very honest, when I bought my ticket on Friday, I felt really, really selfish. Like, I felt like, yeah, you're on vacation, but like, this is like the time where you should be with your family, and like, especially with the circumstances of it being my grandmom's first Thanksgiving not being alive, like, I felt really, really bad when I bought the ticket. But then I was thinking, like,
you also deserve to be able to find some joy.
That, and then like, how many times do these niggas come see me? You know what I mean? Niggas that can drive, like cousins or whoever, whatever, like, you know what I mean? Like, why do I always have to be the person, like I say in September, reach out and make the
You are that person for us, though. You are that person for us, though.
But I said that
I'm responsive, I'm responsive, I'm
proactive.
Yeah, your initiative.
Yes.
Your initiative, I'm responsive.
Yes.
I will respond with the support. You will initiate with the support.
And so I just want to say, like, give yourself grace. Like, you're not always going to be able to make it. You're not going to be able to make the recital. You're not going to be able to make the 70th birthday party or whatever the case may be.
Especially when you live out of state. Especially when you have to travel for these events.
Yeah, it's like, so sometimes, like, there is a lot of anxiety with traveling. Especially, like, as you highlight, I've lived in, like, 4 different states in the last 10 years. And I was only driving for maybe 5 of those years. So like the majority, to be honest, of my time has been on public transportation. And so there is a lot of anxiety around like, how much is this ticket going to cost? Like, is it in the budget?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, is it cheaper to go at this time? Like those kind of like bouncing around.
Even schedules.
Yes. And
fucking schedules. You can't just leave when you're done.
Yes.
And you have to leave when you're able to get someplace.
Yeah. So, I mean, there is a lot of trauma, anxiety, and things that go around for people who are on public transportation or travelers just traveling in general. But for me, I think like Dana said, and this is really good, like give yourself grace. Give yourself grace to like do something for yourself. Give yourself grace to like maybe even give yourself like, what is it called? Upgrade. Like get you a first class ticket. Like don't feel bad about that. Like, you know what I mean? Like for me, I did feel bad on Friday when I bought my ticket, but I also know this is what I needed. Like I'm in this space, like I got a week off, like I'm around, like I wanted to be in New York. Like I'm in New York, like I woke up the other day and I was like, bitch, I'm going to the bodega to get me a bacon, egg, and cheese. Like, oh God. Like some cliche shit, but it's like so relaxing. And for my first couple of days, I didn't leave the house. And out here Saturday night, I didn't leave the house until like Tuesday afternoon to go have lunch with one of my friends. Like just chilling and being in New York was enough for me. And the fact that my mom, like when I had talked to her like a couple of weeks ago, I had broke it down. I was like, yeah, I told Ashley, and she was like, well, if you don't hear nothing, you know what I mean? I'm gonna cook a little something for, you know, our family or whatever. If you want to come, you come. But if you want in New York, it's okay. Yeah. Like it's fine. So to like get that like kind of what's the word? Not permission, but that like grace. That grace, like that blessing is. I'm okay. I understand. Today is a day for my mom. Like you know what I mean. My sister is probably at work. My mom is probably home cooking for Grandpa Jake and my Uncle Jake and all them, like that kind of thing. Like she's probably doing that, but I know it's like difficult. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like it's difficult. And I as the emotional child, as I said, between me and my sister, as the emotional child,
my lord.
Like I feel like that's kind of sometimes my duty. like to be there for those emotional things. But I feel like our parents, well, I shouldn't say our parents, because your mother is a little bit younger than mine. My mom, like, they come from a time where, like, they really don't express themselves. Like, so even when I asked her, like, how you doing? Like, what's good? It's always, I'm okay, or whatever, right? So I'm at a place where I'm trying to give it liberty to be what it is. Like, if you having a hard day and you want to talk about it, let's talk about it. But if you make it, the way you get through it is just going through, the motions and pushing through, I'm not going to press you either. And so I feel like that was a thing for her too. Like, she didn't want, I know my mom, she didn't want it to be about that.
Yeah, she didn't want a memorial service.
Because that's what it would have ended up
She wanted it to be Thanksgiving.
She wanted it to be Thanksgiving. And so, shout out the door. But yeah, like, what I took from this conversation is that it can be very, very hard. It can be difficult. And that's on public transportation, with your own
in a car, driving in traffic, local, planes, airports,
or whatever the case
sitting around a bunch of, I'm thinking Swedes or just people from other countries that don't celebrate the same holidays that we celebrate. So it's just like, they don't give a fuck.
Give yourself grace.
You're over here rushing to get here, there, and everywhere. And it's just like...
And the thing about the run, especially this time of season, like the hustle and bustle to be somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, that is very important. Like, from now until, like, probably a couple of days after New Year's, this is hustle and bustle season. People want to go shopping. People want to get food. People having holiday parties. People having Friendsgivings. Like, this season is, like, nonstop.
It'll fuck you up if you let it.
Like, it's
It'll
nonstop.
fuck you up if you let
so
it.
even when you're saying travel, I want to make sure people understand travel is going from point A to point B.
That's it. That's one of the things that I like
travel
to highlight.
It's
not about going to another country.
Jamaica,
it's sitting on a beach. It's so much more than vacation.
To point B. So like,
it's movement.
Everybody try to
It's
chill.
movement. It is so connected to regular life.
Because
don't let it do you. You do it.
Because and then don't get caught up in other people's shit. Like going back to, like you say, in the car, like people cut you off and or somebody cut you in line.
It's hard for all of us.
It's a lot going on.
It's
people
a lot for all of us.
Just trying to make it. So just chill. Take a breather. Give yourself grace. Give that other person grace. You know what I mean? And then, like you said, I'd rather get somewhere late and in one piece. Than late and don't have a car, late, banged up, or never make it because I was so in a rush because I had to be there.
And peep game, if I get pulled over, that's an extra 15, 20 minutes on my commute. If I get into an accident, that's an extra 30 minutes to an hour on my commute. Like, that's one of the things that I had to tell myself. It's just like, so I can slow down right now and expel and cost myself maybe an extra 3 minutes, or I can cost myself an extra hour.
What's up?
But I gotta get in the kitchen.
So. All right, love y'all. Make sure you subscribe.
All right, y'all. Trial and Shit Podcast.
It was fun.
Happy Thanksgiving.